In the heart of a whispering forest, where ancient trees stretched their branches to touch the sun, lived a small, shy mouse named Pip. Pip's world was a tiny burrow under the roots of a giant oak, and his days were filled with the quiet rustle of leaves and the scent of damp earth. He was a master of stillness, able to blend into shadows and move without making a sound. His greatest skill, he believed, was being unnoticed. One evening, a fierce storm rolled in, shaking the forest with its thunderous roar. The rain fell in sheets, and the wind howled like a lonely wolf. Pip huddled in his burrow, trembling, but a new, terrible sound sliced through the storm's chaos. A high-pitched, desperate chirping. It was coming from a robin's nest, precariously balanced on a branch that was groaning under the wind's force. The baby robin, too small to fly, was crying for its mother, who was nowhere to be seen. Pip's heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drum against his ribs. Every instinct told him to stay hidden, to be safe, to be unnoticed. But the little bird's cries were like a tiny, insistent hand pulling at his courage. He remembered his own mother's warmth, her protective presence, and a deep-seated feeling of empathy stirred within him. He had to do something. Taking a deep breath, he scurried out of his burrow and into the rain. The world outside was a terrifying blur of noise and motion. Branches snapped, and the ground was turning to mud. He felt so small and helpless against the power of the storm. But he kept his eyes on the nest, on the tiny ball of fluff and fear. Climbing the great oak was a monumental task. The bark was slippery with rain, and the wind tried to tear him from his grip. He slipped, he slid, but he kept going, fueled by a purpose greater than his fear. When he finally reached the branch, the nest was on the verge of toppling. With all his might, Pip wedged his small body against the side of the nest, acting as a tiny, living anchor. The wind pushed and shoved, but he held fast, his muscles burning with the effort. Hours passed, and as the storm began to fade, so did Pip's strength. He was cold, soaked, and exhausted, but he had done it. He had protected the baby bird. As the first rays of morning sun filtered through the clearing clouds, the robin returned. She chirped with relief and gratitude, nuzzling the now sleeping baby, and then looking at Pip with an expression of profound thanks. Pip didn't say a word. He simply climbed back down the tree, his heart swelling with a new kind of warmth. He was still a small mouse, but he was no longer just Pip, the master of stillness. He was Pip, the mouse who had faced a storm. He realized that bravery wasn't the absence of fear, but the choice to act in spite of it. And that, he knew, was a far greater skill than being unnoticed.